Morning.
Morning, everybody. We just keep admitting people here. Once we get enough people, we'll go over some things. This is our last session without a model, so we'll be doing a lot of Croak Cafe stuff and going over some things that I'm seeing continually on the online one hand-in. You guys will be getting marks for that back today. I'm most of the way through it, and as soon as I'm done teaching, I'm going to finish the rest of the marking, and then I'll send you guys out your reviews on it. So you'll get the rubric back, and I wrote down an overall view of what I think people should be focusing on, and where you did well and where you could have done better. So hopefully that'll be enough for you guys to get a good idea leading into online 2. We have quite a bit of people, so I might just get into it. Hopefully we're not missing too many stragglers. But something that I am seeing continuously is just that I think a lot of us are struggling with cleanup at this point, and just what that means. Oh, I didn't mean to connect this. 1 second, guys. And what that means. So I sent some examples with online 1 and online 2, and so we can go over that for feet and things like that. But I'm seeing a lot of people still really rough with their even just gestures, which is fine. Gestures are meant to be rough, especially if you only have a minute or 30 seconds. It can go by very fast. But let me just switch to this guy real quick. And then I will do some screen share. 1 second. So if let me just move this. If we have a pose like this, for example, let me just try and maximize this. Something that I'm seeing continually, if you guys look at my screen once this centers. Wait. Oh, wow, it's really taking its time. Come on. There we go. There we go. All right. So something that I'm seeing continually, maybe I can move this down a bit, is so say this is your model here. 1 second. I think this needs to be recentered again. There we go. So say this is your model. Actually, let me see. Oh, we're good. So you're roughing it out. I'll try and draw it really dark so people can see it very well.
The camera's still a bit blurry.
Oh, is it? Here, 1 second, guys.
It's okay.
Yeah, for some reason I'm having quite a bit of issues getting this.
Haven't we done this one before? I swear I've seen this guy before.
Yeah, we have. I just picked a video to find a pose to use as an example, but 1 second, guys. Let me just try and figure something out in the meantime. For some reason, the camera's had a lot of issues focusing today. Oh, I didn't realize it came on pause. Just 1 second, guys, and I'll be back in just a minute. Let me just see if I can get this to focus in the meantime.
It's focused.
Oh,
It's unblurred. The picture's unblurred. We can see everything clear now.
So this is the pose we're drawing?
I don't know.
1 second, guys. I just have to send an email. I guess we will actually have a model today. I think I gave Janine extra hours because I had to rearrange hours from the week before. But in the meantime, I'll go over this little lecture before I send her an email, and then we'll just get into some long studies today. But so the camera's focused. We're good to go. So something that I'm continually seeing. So let me just get that pose back to where it was. So something that I'm continually seeing, if this is your pose and the average student is just drawing, say, for example, you got his head in there, and then you're focusing on getting the joints for where, and all your little placeholders, you know, for the rib cage, getting the pelvis in there, maybe have the knee joints and little placeholders for the feet. But then that's as far as I'm seeing some of these gestures go, is just the stick men with joints and placeholders. But for gestures, even if it's 1 minute, we really want to try and get you guys focusing on doing more than just the preliminary stuff. And this is the right kind of approach when you're doing anything longer than 5 minutes. But when you're doing a gesture, you have to be able to move through the pose quickly. And sometimes that means capturing what you see and not always capturing the rest. So if this pose was 1 minute and I just had one line for that back leg, like say this is here's the front leg coming through. Say if I just had one line for that back leg because I didn't get to the rest because the rest I was fleshing out, that's okay. Flesh out what is the most important part of the pose, and limbs that are behind, you know, like if he has an arm that's leaning back and we don't really see it too much, you can leave that as just a line and not focus too much on where the elbow is. But what I really want to see is slightly more fleshed out gestures. Let me see, I think this has some good examples. Like even just, let me see if you guys can see that. Even some of these, like he still has the lines for, you know, where the hips, where the shoulders are. They're very gestural and fluid, but he is putting in more of an effort to get the actual shape and the more of the definition in there. So I really want to see flowing lines, and I really want to feel your mentality as you're working through the pose. And you can really see that with some people because, you know, as much as we're focusing on what we're drawing, we also have to focus on how we're doing it. And that should come through in your posing as you're drawing it out. So, yeah, shoot.
I think someone needs to be let in.
Oh, thank you. I just see that now. There we go. Perfect. And let me just invite one more. Let me see. Oh, I can't. That's so weird. Oh, wait. It almost let me. 1 second, guys. I just want to see if I can invite Janine through this, but I don't think it will. No, it seems to only let me do that if you're already in it. But 1 second. I'll just send this off to Janine real quick, and then we will go from there, guys. Let's see. This is what I want. How was the weekend, everybody? Get a lot done?
It was good. I went camping again.
Ooh, camping again. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was meh for me.
It was a meh weekend. Yeah, there was a lot of mix of the weather this weekend, it seems. We had,
Pretty shitty.
I don't know about you guys. I had a huge tornado,
Downpour.
which was terrifying.
Yeah, we us in Gatineau, we got 2 tornado warnings.
Yep.
And so that was, and I'm home alone, so like.
I was at work. I was at work when that happened.
So was I. It was so dead in the store because of that. Like, we literally had 30 customers. We served all day. Usually we have like 300.
Oh, wow. Yeah, people were scared.
We had like 3,000 people just ordering. I was like, what the heck? Why do you do this? There's a tornado outside. You shouldn't be doing this.
You tell them that.
Stay inside. Get your food. Make yourself some food.
Make a shelter.
Make a shelter. Get in the basement.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that nothing came of it, but hopefully it wasn't too intense for other people.
Well, there was a lot of rain and probably some electric poles that fall off, and little structural things that were like pretty much feeble, like wood stuff that probably fall off.
We had a crazy one maybe last year, the year before. It was
Mm-hmm.
actually very close to where I was living, but luckily we didn't even end up losing power. I wasn't home that weekend, but my roommate told me I think we only lost power for a couple of hours and then came back, but it
And
tore right through a street right by my place. So it's
whoa,
scary. But
yikes! Yeah.
yeah, I sent a link to Janine, so we'll wait for her to join. But I guess in the meantime, we can. I guess a few people missed a bit of the lecture there, so I'll go over it again real quick. But essentially, what I was telling everybody prior is that I've been looking over your online one. You'll be getting everybody's getting those marks back today, with an overview going over things you did well on, things that need improvement. And one thing that I'm continually seeing with gestures is that I need slightly more fleshed out gestures. I'm seeing quite a few people just focusing on, I'll switch back to this, just focusing on getting the placeholders in there. And I need fleshed out gestures that they end up looking the best. So that's what you want to aim for. I thought I had some more examples. I think Michael Hampton's got a few better ones that are in here. But like, mind you, this is a little more structured, but just the way he's putting emphasis, like you can see where his darkest lines are. And that's because that's where bone is intersecting with flesh. So the hip bone here, the scapula here, and your sternum, your rib cage there. And because he puts so much emphasis there, it really pops. So we really want to see the right kind of emphasis in the right areas. These are great examples too. A lot of them are pretty loose. You can see with some of them, like what I was trying to explain before, like this leg here, he doesn't even fully flesh out the feet or anything. He got in what he could and the important information. But I'd like to see you guys working through the pose and adding more definition and less about ball joints and placeholders. So if I can do, let me see, I'll do a little screen share. See, oh, how detailed do you want these poses? Well, you'll have to try, Grayson, or potentially see if you can put the cat in another room. I know they meow quite a bit, but you got to be able to try, because otherwise you're never going to get anything done, right? You need to be able to have space to work. So we'll move to a different pose. Let me see one where he's more. It's probably good. And then somebody just let me know if there's any joiners, because I can't really see on my screen right now. But let's see. Oh, actually Janine's here, so I guess we will leave that for after. And yeah, we should be able to give it our all. Let's try and pin Janine's video wherever she is. I can't see her right now.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Hey, how's it going?
It's going well, you?
Good. Let me just, the pin option isn't there. That's so weird. Oh, never mind. So we'll start with some gestures, Janine. I guess we can do, we'll start with some 5 1-minutes, and then we'll do some 2 minutes and some 3 minutes. And then we'll try and do one big long study, and that'll be the class today.
Nice. Okay. 1 minute.
All right. So just like what we talked about, guys, it's short. So just try and work your pencil through the pose. You should barely be lifting up that pencil. All right. Yes. Taking flight. Remember to connect those arms with the same line. You want to pull that line of action from way before where that hand starts. You really want to pull that line through and really feel that force that's drawing that hand up there. Look at the shape that her rib cage all the way to that shoulder makes. That little bean shape there is really what you guys want to try and focus on and put in your posing. Build that shape up. Think about building shape up. Even the bun looks sad. Make it look sad. Get that emotion in there.
That's the emotion of you dropped your chicken nugget on the ground.
Definitely the chicken nugget. And you really want to feel like that was your last chicken nugget.
Oh God, my nugget. I'm a failure.
If the
Anything but the nugget.
if the pose looks sad when you finish drawing it, then you hit the right mark. Get those shapes in there, guys.
Maybe if I cry, it'll help the emotion.
Maybe not.
The tears just wet your page.
Yep. It adds to the emotion, I promise.
Or you're just too related to this situation.
Oh yeah. Definitely hit me somewhere.
And deep in the core.
A core memory.
My core memories, no.
All right, get a lot of stretch in this one, guys. And get that lean. All about that lean. I mentally make little sound effects sometimes when I'm doing like a really big line of action, and I find just sound effects just make everything better. Maybe I'm biased, but
Yeah, onomatopoeias.
Oh, no.
yeah.
When you reach-
It's understandable for the sound effect, though.
Oh, I just did a really good angled head. I'm so proud of myself.
Nice. Yeah, I want to see some of these poses after. So let's feel like we're really nailing it. A break.
Okay, 2 minutes.
All right. More time means more time to think about what are the important aspects of this gesture that I really want to get in here. So really think about how you want to be concise. Really exaggerate things, really push that chest out, really try and make it feel like she's putting her absolute all into whatever it is Janine's really wanted to do here.
Like the Ricola tube. Ricola.
Yeah. It's reminding me of the Highland Games. I don't know if that's just me, but
Oh, kind of,
I
yeah.
love And remember, whenever you're drawing legs, to draw from one that you've already started and bring that line through. Get the right angle in there so these legs are planted properly. Even some of the best students in this class struggle with that, so be mindful, you guys. Want those legs to feel very planted. All right. This is a good one for getting a lot of awesome things in there. There's a lot of bend here. There's a good curve. There's an S curve. You can even make some C curves here. So really try and push this pose, guys, and watch where you're placing those feet. And remember, the shoulders come up out. They come up, they extend quite a bit out. So be mindful if you're drawing them a little too close into the body, because that's a very common thing to have happen.
Do you have any tips for sweaty hands?
Yeah, that'll happen too. Maybe you can keep like a cloth or something around. I find sometimes it's just a matter of working through it. Other times it's just the time of year.
Yeah. She's bird watching.
Yeah, it's really intense bird watching. Gotta get
Maybe it was a UFO.
yeah.
Oh, look at that specimen. Fancy specimen. Indeed. Is that a UFO?
I almost didn't know who that was at first.
Yeah. That's how you know you're a good voice actor.
Yeah.
Voice actor and animator.
Extraordinary.
You've got a big field there.
You got a big field on your portfolio, buddy. Yes, yes, I do.
Alright.
But not yet.
Did you guys end up getting a kit of art stuff this year? Because of COVID, I guess they haven't sent anything out, right?
No, we have them.
Oh, you do? Okay. Do you have grease pencils in there or the China
That's
marker?
what we're using, as far as I'm concerned. Because
Oh,
I am.
good. Okay, some people submitted stuff with red pencils, so I wasn't sure if everybody's been using them. But I find they're awesome until you have to tear a piece off and you're in the middle of a good pose. And, no.
Oh yeah.
But they're really fun. So the more effort you guys put into them, it'll get you prepped for when you eventually end up doing Conte, which can be really fun. But that's not until
do
the
what?
year. Conte, it's another type of medium, kind of like the China marker there, the grease pencil, but it's kind of something that you don't really touch until third year.
Oh,
How many 2 minutes was that, Janine? Was that 3?
that was 4.
Oh, 4. Okay. We're at 10:30. So let's do a couple more. We'll take a break and then we'll do one really long study until the end.
Are we taking a break at 11?
You know what? Let's do 2 more 2 minutes, 1 3-minute and 1 5-minute.
2 2s, 1 3 1 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Ooh.
And I apologize ahead of time, guys. I'm using the back pages of my my book here, so that's why there's going to be a lot of flipping pages.
That's okay.
All right, this is a 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's a 2-minute.
Let's get her. You can get really loose and kind of messy with these as long as you're being really light on your pencil. That way you're not overly committing to anything, but then you'll also push yourself and see yourself work through a pose in a way you hadn't previously if you give yourself that room to work through it. So think about your pencil as something that shouldn't be taken off the page when you're roughing out where everything should go. It ends up creating a much more fluid, dynamic pose, which is what we're aiming for. So give it a shot if you haven't tried anything like that yet.
Oh, that head's too big. Uh-oh.
All right. This pose is a perfect example of when you want to connect those arms in one loop, like we've talked about in class. So try and see if you can get that working in this pose.
Why does this pose remind me of like a Renaissance painting?
It's
I don't know why.
got that working feel to it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
There's something so beautiful about the Renaissance
Mm-hmm.
art.
Have you seen like those medieval arts where like the cats look really weird?
We've always been obsessed with art and cats, apparently. It's just been a thing.
Yep.
They are our muse.
And 3 minutes.
All right.
We're doing the 3 minutes now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Very Spider-Man like.
Yeah. Always a big fan of those poses.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool if we could get the budget to set up some kind of thing in the classroom where the model could have ropes to hang off of. So we could actually do some cool Spider-Man poses.
Just go to a park and go on the swing set.
Yeah. Everybody draw in the park.
Yes.
Yeah. Today we're having class outside.
Yay!
Yeah.
That could probably would have been a thing if it wasn't for COVID.
Yeah, I'd be up for it. As long as we had the room to work.
Well, how long are these?
3 minutes.
Oh, okay.
We'll be doing a couple of these, and then we'll go on break and switch to the long study. My roommate's dog is normally in her room when I'm teaching, but she's working right now. So the pup's down here, and I can hear her snoring occasionally, and it's the cutest ever.
Aww. How many pets do you guys have?
We just got the cat and the dog, but
okay.
during COVID, I cannot be more thankful to have a pet. Oh my goodness.
Agreed.
There's just nothing better than coming home to something that's just so excited to see you. Oh, it's just the greatest.
So another 3 or 5?
Oh, we'll do 1-5 because we're getting close, and then we'll go on a 10-minute break, and then back into one long study. And then for that long study, if you can have both feet and hands visible, because I want to see people get feet and hands and faces today if we can, if we have enough time.
Okay.
For the long study, for this 5-minute, it does.
Whatever. I'll put one behind that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, because something else after looking at online one that I'm seeing, guys, is people are struggling getting those hands and feet in there, which is totally fine. I'm happy to see some placeholders, but now we're getting further along, so I really want to start seeing you guys encompass that as you're bringing your drawings forward. You can start with like a little meat mitt,
5
and
minute?
detail after. What, Sophie?
5 minute, right?
Yeah, 5 minute.
This is kind of like a superstar pose.
He's like, excuse me, I can't hear you. I'm too famous.
Yeah. You know who I am?
Why you say it me?
Yeah.
I do not understand.
Sorry, I don't speak pleb.
I
But
don't speak no peasant.
it is one of those things where you find a pose that just looks really fun. I find you get so much more out of it. So if you can get into that mental headspace of, oh, this looks awesome, you'll turn out something nice with it. Or maybe that's what I'm just told to tell you. Ooh.
No way. We've been
The
lied to.
artist who wants you to think.
We've been lied to this whole time.
No.
Oh,
Could they? I thought you were here to make us learn and succeed.
Turns out we've just been paid to be lied to.
You guys have been fed lies this whole time. Well, Jeff was telling you guys some good facts on drawing. I'm just here to lighten the mood and make things fun.
I mean, it's working.
I'll try the learning approach next time.
Okay.
My setup, which something that you guys are probably going to run into commonly with COVID being a thing. Normally, you guys remember we draw on the donkeys because it props up your board so you're sitting at the right angle. But the only space I have to set up my whole station for class has to be a wide table. So something that you guys very much need to remind yourselves, you're more likely to have that cone of vision that we talk about, where everything leading up to where the head is going to be smaller. And then as you get down to the legs, things get too long. I see it a lot in my own work, which means it's probably going to be coming up with some poses you guys do as well. So if you can potentially set up your workstation to have your board more on an angle or whatever surface you're drawing on, especially for those of you that are just drawing in a sketchbook, it's very easy to just prop it against a table. So keep that in mind if you can't, and if you can, try and aim for something like that. It'll really help your the work that you turn out.
Yeah, like the one we're doing right now, I just had that problem like 2 minutes ago. I was like, oh wait, this looks wrong.
Oh, me too. It's something that you can easily forget about if you're not actively thinking about it. So I'll try and remind you guys before classes just to make sure people are trying to be mindful of it. All right. So go on a little break, Janine, and we'll come back 10 minutes later, and then we'll just take that pose to the end of class if possible. Okay. So for everybody who's back getting ready, something that I'm noticing with all the online ones, or at least the ones I've marked so far, is people avoiding detailing hands, feet, and faces. So for this long study, we're going to take it till the end of class, so it's going to be just over an hour, and I want to see people at least try your best to fit in some of those details. So.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's the goal I want to see people strive for today.
I'm just gonna change my head.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do whatever you want. I'm sure.
How far along, right?
No, no. I've already got that all fleshed out, and
Oh, sorry.
I'm too far in, Janine. Wait, we're gonna switch pencils.
No, I think I'm also gonna change this.
Yeah, do what you need.
My new. There. Okay. Copy.
All right. There's quite a bit of lean in the different angle of where her head is lined up compared to the angle her body's on. So make sure you guys get that in there, because with the last long study we did, all of us, including myself, even straightened it up a little more than necessary. So let's really try and get those angles working this time. Get your line of action in, get your head in, and then double check that that's lining up with the way you want it. Even if it means pushing it a little beyond what looks natural, just to get a little bit of exaggeration in there. Remember to have a unit of measurement for the head, and measure how long the legs are compared to the rest of the body. you know, from the bottom of the toe right up until the pelvis line, and then from there to the rest. And it should just be a little bit over her head. So the legs are longer, but they're not that much longer. So just be mindful, guys. And plumb lines. I want to see plumb lines. Putting in an ankle bone, cool. What does it line up with above it? Make sure you draw those plumb lines. I'm gonna sound like a broken record and I don't even care.
We won't go till the end of the day.
Who's got their audio on still? For anybody who still struggles with the bean and getting the form in here, this is a good pose to practice and really test your knowledge on that. So really try and get that bean shape in here. You can really see it. At this point, you should be double checking how wide she is and how long she is with head measurements. If you're still focusing on drawing, maybe draw it back a little bit, slow it down, and build up your head shapes. Make sure you've got a size measurement tool. Otherwise, this isn't going to turn out very nicely for you. Unless you're already a pro, in which case I shouldn't be teaching you.
Are we allowed to use an eraser for these?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool.
by all means. I've already had to erase a mistake of my own. And just a friendly reminder, I want to see as much detail for feet and hands and faces as you can get to. Of course, the pose is most important. So if you need to save those for last, do so. But getting into a perpetual habit of always saving those for last is going to make it so that you just never end up getting to it. So find somewhere in between where you can find a middle ground there. Hmm. I don't know how well you guys will be able to see this because I'm drawing very light, but if you look at, there's so much shadow, but if you look at mine, there's a lot of tick marks. All of it's tick marks. I have a point for every head shape or size. Not size, sorry, just a number for where every head's gonna line up. And there's a lot of plumb lines, a lot of little just incidental marks where I'm trying to find where things are lining up and just making note of quite a bit. So make sure you guys are doing the same and getting all your plumb lines in there. And don't forget about negative and positive space. We focus so much on positive space because it's what we have to draw, but negative space is really going to help you bring everything together.
Cheyenne,
Yeah.
I'm having a really hard time with the legs here. Like I've kind of got the upper body and it looks really nice and I'm like actually proud of it. But like I can't do the legs. I'm like ready to like just say the upper body is what I've got.
Can I see it? Do you have a camera?
Yes, I do have my camera on. So like sorry, I just don't want to flash anyone.
Okay. Okay.
So like here's the upper body, but then here are her legs. Like I'm really proud of the negative space I've got between her arm and like, but like help.
Yeah. Double check your head measurement for how thick you're making those legs.
Right?
They are thicker than the arms, so that can be misleading because Jean's got some strong legs. But also double check your angles because the leg that's bent feels like it's
too bent.
No, it feels like it's leaning down more, which I did too. So I think it's very common to mistake the angle that leg is coming in on. And can I see it one more time?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Yeah, so the upper body's looking really solid. Just you're making it a little straight. So if you look at my screen.
Okay, let me just ping yours for a second. Okay, yeah.
So I mean, you can't. That's fine, but let me see. Try and think of like here. I'll draw it really dark. This kind of line of action for that torso. So her rib cage would essentially be like this because she's leaning kind of towards she's leaning on an angle, but then her chest is coming a little bit forward there. It's subtle, so it's easy to miss, but those little subtleties really help highlight the pose itself. And so when I was doing head measurements, where her fourth head is or her fourth head down is where the pelvis is, so double check that those are lining up. And then from head 4 to head 7 is where the feet are. I had to erase a bunch because I realized I made my legs way too long. So double check those things and then see where that leaves you. And if you're still struggling, let's see where you're at after that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No worries. It's coming along though, Rose. The upper body and the negative space and everything is looking pretty good. So keep that up.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
I'm very like actually starting to get proud of my art, which is, nice.
Oh, I've seen a huge improvement in your stuff in the last couple of weeks, so keep that up.
Aw, thank you, Cheyenne. That's like encouraging, even though I'm the least favorite student of yours.
Yeah, you and Ty, no.
Oh yeah, and at least I'm not alone. Ty, you're in the same boat as me. Yay. Oh man, I told that story to everyone at the cottage. Like it was my boyfriend's family, and I was like, "You want to know what my teacher said to me?" And I was like, "Yeah, she's my favorite teacher."
That's adorable.
Right? Like everyone was like, "She said that." I was like, "Yeah, she's the best. I love her." Like,
being savage.
yeah, like just it was great. Anyways, thank you.
Oh yeah, no worries. Life can get a bit rough, so it's nice to remind ourselves not to take things too seriously sometimes,
Yeah, okay, because her arms are perfect. It's just, the legs, I'm having a hard time finding, like, the, width of them. Because, they thick boys, but, her legs aren't that thick.
Yeah, it can be kind of misleading sometimes because it'll throw you off. But just double check those widths and see where that leaves you. I find, and I've mentioned this before, but it's really helpful if you take whatever you're using as a head measurement, wherever you have your little indicators, and fold it in half, line up each line, and now that you've folded that piece of paper, you have a center line that you can make. So now you have a mark for where half is. And a lot of the time, you'll be measuring, say, let's see how wide from elbow to hand this pose is. I got two heads and not even a half head longer. It was almost like a quarter of a head. So if you have a marker for what half is, it really helps as an indicator whenever you're using a measurement as less than half, which will be very common when you're measuring the width of things like her arms or ankles, just to make sure you're getting that width right. So that's a good tool to have in your back pocket as something to kind of rely on. And we should still have at least about a half hour, guys. So for those of you that are working a little too fast right now, step back a bit. If you can see where I'm at, I don't even have her other leg in there. So if you have the full pose roughed out, slow it down, because that probably means you're not doing your measurements as often, and you got to do that constantly. It feels like homework at the beginning, but the more you build a habit of doing it all the time, think about when you're driving. When you're driving a car, you have to get into the habit of checking all of your mirrors often, because there's so many things that are going on that if you're not paying attention, you could miss something and it could be dire. This isn't that dire, but you do want to think about it like you're checking things all the time. Instead of a side mirror and your rear view mirror, think of it as like plumb lines, sight measurement, and angles and positive negative space, literally everything we've talked about since day one. So think of those like your mirrors while you're driving, and that's to help make sure you're being as cautious as you can.
Cheyenne, sorry to bother you again. The width looks right now, but now the knee just looks wrong.
For one, this
On the
is
bent one.
bothering me. So yeah, just show me your camera again, and
Okay, of course. Like now I've got the width looks right, but now I can't get the bend in her knee to look right.
okay. So can you see my camera?
Let me just ping you again. Sorry.
Let me just see if I can bring it to a new page just to so I can get rough with it. But okay.
Just because her
So-
knee doesn't look like it's going up, it looks like it's bending down.
Yeah, which is fair. So I'll try and get that angle. So remember whenever we talk about doing the ellipses and using your pencil to figure out that direction.
Yeah,
So
right.
she's got these, that leg, that part of the leg is coming towards us, and then it's going away from us once it changes direction to lead down.
Right.
So when I use my pencil, I'm getting quite a wide ellipse. I'll shade it a little bit. I'll bring this down. I'm getting quite a wide ellipse for where it's coming down.
Right.
So get that angle.
Okay, we don't.
And then you can show that subtly by having this line here to indicate that this top part of her leg is overlapping what's coming underneath.
I see.
I've drawn it a little darker than we can see it on her, but you can tell based on the shadow that it's highlighting that this is above us. So we really, even if you wanted to leave a little line indicator to show that that knee is going to come down like so. I'm drawing it pretty dark so that you can kind of see.
Yeah, but I see what you mean, and I can see where I can fix it. So that helps me out. Thank you so much. And again, sorry for bothering you, Cheyenne.
Again, don't even apologize. I love hearing concerns because it helps me feel like you guys are working through stuff. So I love hearing that.
I just feel bad because other people, I know I'm just asking a lot of questions, and I feel bad if someone's trying to focus and then I'm asking questions. So sorry to everyone else. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, but at
internet.
the same time, somebody might be struggling with the same thing you are, Rose. So you never know when you're actually helping instead.
Yeah.
That's fair. Sorry, I always just feel bad. Like Canadian issues, you just got to constantly say sorry, so you know everyone knows you feel constantly bad.
Yeah, I felt that.
I mean, that's me whenever I burp. I'm like, sorry.
Me for everything. I'm like, sorry for saying sorry so much, guys. Like, just sorry.
Just
Yeah,
Hey, we accept your apology.
Love you
it's me
guys.
with everything as well. If I bump into someone, oh, sorry about that.
it's just the way.
That's how you
It's
know
the
you're.
Canadian way.
Yep, that's how you know you're Canadian. You say a lot of sorry. Well, that's how the United States sees us, as the polite people.
I'm okay with that being our stereotype.
I mean, that's fine. But not everyone is polite over here.
Yeah.
Because we have
Oh,
people
yeah.
from variety of countries and stuff.
That's what makes Canada one of the best. We got such variety.
Yeah, like once I went to Quebec and I was like 10 and I almost saw a knife fight go off, so that was fun.
And understandably, Grayson, I saw his comment in the chat, and I'm like, that's fair. No, like as much as people say Canada is so much better, we still have a lot of issues. The way we treat
Oh, yeah.
our native people here is
Yeah.
like our First Nations. Yeah, no,
My
we
dad
still have a
stopped
lot of
talking
issues.
stuff. Sorry, I'm talking to myself.
I'm happy to see how much progress has been made over the last 40, 60 years. And I wasn't even around to see it back then, but you can get quite an idea from photos and what we've read and everything we've learned. And
Well, didn't Canada legalize gay marriage back in like 2008? Like a lot, like way
It
before
was
like
2001.
2000, was it? Oh God, way earlier than I thought.
I was 1 year old.
I was born.
I was born.
yeah, so as much as, the media has to paint things negatively all the time because that's what sells news. That's what people unfortunately care to
Right.
click for. But there is a lot more good that we don't report. So, don't be too clouded by what you just see and what's fed to us all the time. Also, just think about how much good that has happened. There's a lot of talk about a lot of things that have been going on negatively lately, but we also forget things like the United States was the first ever to abolish slavery completely, and that was back in 40s or the 50s, which is huge because they were one of the first to do it. So it's something that we look at statistics and we look at numbers, but there are a lot of good in the world that we forget about too.
I thought it was Canada who did that first, but I guess not.
Yeah, but I know the US was one of the first
The most popular.
yeah.
Like, whenever the US does something, every other country does. Remember when US finally like made gay marriage legal and then everyone else did?
like now that it's cool to make it.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, Ireland only recently in 2019 just made gay marriage legal, which I think is ridiculous to wait that long,
Yeah.
like to make something a human right legal. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, agreed.
But at least they got it. It took
I'm
them a
not-
long time though, but they got it.
How much?
I'm
How are you making the legs look so good, Cheyenne? Can you stop?
I had to redo this one and I still don't feel like I'm getting the angle right.
Yeah, I'm looking at yours and I'm like, my angle is way too down. Damn it, that was a perfect leg though.
Yeah, I gotta
Erase.
it's weird because when I do my it must mean that my pelvis is a little low because when I do my head measurements, her knee should start right in the fourth head. So I'm trying to fit that in there.
Oh,
But,
it's-
yeah. Have you guys been using that pencil trick that I talk about all the time? Because it's so helpful.
I tried
Like,
to, but
I often do. I find it's really hard to do over a computer versus like
oh yeah.
in the classroom though, because it's like, man, she's like this little tiny like little person on the screen, right? Well, in class, it's like, yes, a real human being.
Yeah, I was talking to I had some people asking me how it's like teaching during all of this, and And I was just saying, there are other courses, it's not too hard, but for my course especially, it's just, for one, not being able to walk around the room and see everybody's screen is especially hard, but then also just you guys not even being able to see the model up close in person, or the fact that you can't even walk around the room to see
Other
areas that you're,
people's.
yeah,
Like,
other
that's what really helped me out. Like when I, especially in your class, was going around and like I remember especially like people's certain examples, but like Kiwan, Matt, Kevin, like these, like seeing their art was just like like man, that's inspiring. Like if like you know what I mean, like to see how people can do so well and just like their improvement in a little time. It's inspiring.
It is, and we grow together, so if you're struggling with something, it's so nice to be able to walk over to your classmate and say, hey, I found that part really hard. What did you find that really helped you work through that? And it builds a sense of community, which as artists we should be focusing on, that building each other up and not feeling like we should hide our accomplishments. We grow together. Mm. Grayson, I just saw your message now. Let me just try and get a new piece of paper again. Let's see it. All right. So Grayson, I don't know if I don't think you have your mic on, but hopefully you're paying attention. But the head can be a little, actually quite hard whenever there's, oh, thanks. It can be quite hard when you're trying to get an upward angle like that. So we start with the structure. So the biggest thing from what we talked about, especially when it came down to our classes where we went over the skull, I'll even grab this as an example. So whenever we went over the skull, if you guys remember, the biggest thing I talked about was this circular part of the cranium, because no matter what pose you're looking at, as long as you can see the head, you should see part of it. So even from front on, it's this circular part right here. It pretty much cuts off right where the cheekbones are. So you can make that cranium shape. So start with that no matter what, because when you're stuck on the head, dial it back to what you know. So in this case, we've got quite a bit of lean. Let me just angle that down. We got quite a bit of lean back. So we're going to put that cranium in and keep in mind that there's a bit of foreshortening happening. So make sure you get the right angle for where that head's coming in. And then I like to bring the line down on the outside for where that jaw is going to come in. And I always do just a slight curve because of how that jaw is coming up. So it would technically be like this, but we're not going to draw that ball there. We're going to kind of give a little bit of a shadow underneath that part of the chin. You kind of want to leave some part for where that chin's going to come through, because we should see some of it, but you also want to just think about that little shadow space underneath the jaw, because it'll really help highlight the angle that you're coming in on. I also like to really focus on rounding out my arcs. So whether or not you're putting in a nose or the mouth, round all those arcs. That way you're making sure that they're following that perspective that you're putting things in on. Then from there, I pull my line from where her brow line is, bring it down to where I'm going to put in the nose. And by this point, you've already made ticks for where the nose should be, lining it up with things like where the ear's coming through and finding those points of interest. And then from there, you can bring it down for the rest of the face. Typically, you want to make sure that you give enough room for everything. But of course, there is a bit of foreshortening happening. So you should find some kind of middle ground there. So I'm just going to try and rough this out a little bit stronger to highlight that. There's this guy. You'll kind of see it a little bit there. I'll bring the neck through. And then you've got it coming from a little bit from where the ear is. And then most of the time I tell you guys not to shade, but in this case, I think it's okay just because it really helps sell the positioning of that head looking up, because our jawline would make just a bit of a shadow, as you can see on Janine there. So you really want to try and think about creating a space or a plane for that, if that makes sense. So I'll try drawing this again to kind of show you what I mean. So even without the shadow, you're creating a plane for where that that space is coming from, because our jaw connects out. So, you know, on a profile view, our jaw looks like this, right? So there's our neck, there's our torso. So the jaw does come out a bit before it connects to the rest of the neck. So think about that space. I'll even shade it here. Think about that space when you're drawing positions of the head in different angles, because that space should be accounted for. If you're still struggling after trying that, Grayson, let me know, and I'll see if I can see what you're working on and go from there. It takes time, right? I actually struggle with those quite a bit. So in my free time when I can, even just not for anything other than practice, I trace over different head positions to try and really draw what it is I'm seeing. And that goes for anything. If you guys are struggling with anything, obviously copying isn't the right method, but sometimes just for your own mental sake, take an image, trace over it, break it down into constructive shapes, and then teach yourself how to see it differently. That way, when you have to go to approach drawing it another time, whether it's in class or for your own personal drawings, you'll have a better frame of reference to go off of and a better mental understanding. And it just takes doing that time and time again to really cement it into your brain. So if you're not getting it right away, that's totally okay. That's totally normal. It just means that might be an area you struggle with that you need to put more time and effort into. Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. Thank you, Janine.
You're welcome. Thank you,
Awesome.
everyone.
Awesome class.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Oh, no worries, Kevin. Have a good one. And thank you for sending me stuff. Guys, you'll be getting marks back today, and I'll email you your rubric and an overview of how you did. Yes, I agree, Jamie. It was a super fun class. Before Janine has to go, everybody, please thank Janine for a great class.
Thank you, Janine.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you for modeling
Man,
for
I don't know
us.
how you can sit that long still in one position. I can't sit still for 3 seconds.
Yeah,
You're
Steve, I'm a
yeah.
Walmart greeter. Biggest mistake of my life.
I can do that pretty easily with
Oh
just
my god,
standing
I'd
up
be
hours.
fidgeting. Like I'm like I need to move. I need to do something. Like
I was thinking about stuff. I was thinking about lots of stuff. So my brain was moving.
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
fair.
Sort of slowly, but
Yeah, well, you guys, we are very lucky to have Janine. She's friggin' awesome. So count your blessings that you'll get her again in the future. So very thankful. But yes, as I was going over, we will be sending, or I'll be sending you back feedback today. If anybody would like a further breakdown, for certain people, I'm drawing over what you sent in, but since I'm already doing the rubric and an overview, I'm not doing that for everyone. I'm just doing it where I think it's the most helpful.
Okay,
But
Shane, you're talking about the online one, right?
yes, I am.
Okay, that's for when like that's the thing we already submitted. That was for the hands and like the poses that we sent in, right?
Yeah, online 2 is
Okay.
due this Friday. So I want to give you guys feedback this week. That way you'll know what areas you could improve on, because everything I'm going to tell you for online 1 is stuff you can bring into
The
online.
online too. Okay, because I was just really stressed about it because I was like, wait, is it like were we supposed to add more to online 1? Like why is she on okay, good to know. Perfect. Don't need to stress myself out basically.
I'll real quick just open up one of the examples of what I'm looking for cleanup wise, because I am finding people are struggling to understand cleanup a bit. So I'm just going to compare side by side 2 images, one of what I'm seeing from people submit in just a roughing sense, and then one of what I would like to see. So let me just, right, so, and I will do a little screen share, one sec. All right. So can you guys see both feet images here?
We can see one. Well, I can see one.
Darn. That is kind of frustrating. So It doesn't let me, oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So now you can see both, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just move this up. So on the right is what the kind of cleanup I'm looking for. This is very tightened. This is obviously something that they submitted for a portfolio, but your final, which is the last assignment that is due for me, is called portfolio, because essentially I want you guys to submit to me what you would submit as something to, like, for future applications and things to go into future programs.
That's
So
scary.
the point of this program is to prepare you guys for going into, say, concept art, animation, or anything like that. And most of them require feet, hands drawings, a self-portrait, and some life drawing. So your final is going to be an amalgamation of that. We're going to go over it on Friday, and I'll break down what we should be looking at. We have David as a model on Friday. So for those of you that are struggling with either feet or portraits, I'm going to try and make that the focus. And then for the last week, hopefully mainly just doing gestures and long study to build up your portfolios. But we might have to have a class where we go over even more so, and I'll be able to tell once I get your submissions for online too. But essentially on the left, these are rough drawings. These are for study. These are to get an understanding, but that's not necessarily what you want to submit, because it's too rough. It's too much.
Is it bad though? Like,
No, this is a great drawing, and that I love seeing that in your work, but you have to know when it comes down to a submission and something's asked for a cleanup drawing, it means it's tightened, it's refined, there's no more guessing. Like here, look at that ankle line. I can discern which one is the one he's going with, but the fact that there's a bunch of others shows me he was roughing and working through this pose, but that's not necessarily what you'd submit as a final. These on
Right.
the right, that is a final. Like, that's a cleaned up drawing, and you can really see the detail and where they put their lines. So, and the line variety. So having some lines that are lighter, some lines that are darker, and some that taper off is huge. Especially in some cases here, like you can't fully see it, but they really tried to highlight where the bottom of the foot is here, and you can just tell by light little lines, indicators. I've always found the best directors are the ones that don't hold hands of the audience member. They lead things for you to find yourself, so you can kind of build an understanding of the storyline. They don't hold your hand through the movie, because then things are too obvious. Then it's too much in your face. The same thing works with drawing. You don't want to completely draw every single line. You want to leave subtleties in there, and you want to let the viewer discern where certain things go to. If I can I'll draw something real quick. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but this happens all the time with the body. But just in the way, let me see if I can think of a really good example. Our muscle structure and our bone structure, when we overlap things, even if that line can end somewhere, like say for example, I'll try and draw here. Say for example, we have somebody bent with their knee up. Try and get this working there. So they're going to have a bend here, which means that hip bone is going to interact with this leg coming up. So that hip bone is going to be jutting out, and it's going to be a darker line because we know that that's bone, and that's how we indicate to the viewer or other artists that we're drawing and hinting at bone there. And same thing with, like, lines can come in and they'll usually connect somewhere on the other side. So because that hip bone is coming up and out to make room for her leg coming up, that means other things are going to be affected by that. So she might have a little bit more cushioning above where that bone is to make room for that muscle or that fat tissue that's protruding outward to make room for the bone. Does that make sense? Or do I sound like I'm talking crazy right now?
You're making sense.
Okay, because so the point that I'm trying to make is, like, I cannot stress this enough. It looks so beautiful, guys, in life drawing when you just lightly hint that this is coming up and over, and you find where you're going to catch that line on the other side of the pose, because typically that's how our body works. It's sometimes, you know, things are just going to end where they end, but like even if you bend your side, like here, I'll switch video. Whoops. This guy. So even if I bend like this, I can, obviously there's a lot of stretch here, and then there's going to be so much cushioning here that's going to kind of come through and around. And because I've got my hip bone on this side and one hip bone on this side, it's good to hint at where things are leading and how they connect to one part to another. I'll try and point it out every time I see it, because it takes your life drawing from here to here whenever you start adding those little things, especially when you involve tapering your lines with it and being really subtle and soft with those lines. Unless, of course, again, it's bone, in which case you want a thinner but darker line. So being able to see those differences and apply it to your work is really going to set you guys apart portfolio-wise. So that's what I really want to try and get you guys focusing on, and just being assertive with what line you're going with. Because I know quite a few of us have a habit of drawing muddy and rough and loose, which is great for gestures. But when you really want to discern what that line is, you have to nail it down. So for those of you that are heavy-handed, or you like to draw over your lines a lot, I recommend taking some time out of your day just to draw for fun or practice, and do gestures, but with an inking pen or a marker or a Sharpie. Samantha Youssef is a life drawing pro. If you Google her stuff, it is mind-blowing how good this woman is. She came to the college and gave us a huge lecture. Oh my God, was it ever? It was so helpful. I took the most notes ever. And a big thing she said was doing that, drawing with a marker or an inking pen, really helps you get more confident with your line work. Because when you mess up, you can't erase it, you can't draw over it, it's there, it's permanent. So the more you teach yourself to commit to what line you know is the right line, the more you're going to see that in your work. So I highly recommend taking some time and drawing with a pen or inking marker. But yeah, so I will stop sharing, and then hopefully you guys had a good class. Does anybody have any questions from today? I'll open the chat and see what. Sorry, what was her name again? Janine. Janine is the model, for those that missed that. She's awesome. You'll probably see her a lot in the future because she models for the college so much. But yeah, the pro. Yeah. Yeah, so she's, if you need to spell it, it's in the group chat there. But yeah, if you guys don't have any other questions, then that's class, and yeah, you'll be getting some feedback from me today.
Okay, sweet. Thank you so much, Ryan.
No worries. Thanks for a good class, everybody. That was awesome. So.
Thank you for being such a good life drawing teacher and having my art improve, you know?
Yeah, I love seeing improvement. And not just Rose, but a lot of you guys, if not all of you guys, have made a huge improvement. Even those of you that don't see it yet, it's there. So just keep trusting in the process, trust in the system. And
just go look at your work from first semester. That's what happened. I cleaned up my office and I found a lot of my work from first semester, a lot of my gestures from first semester, and I started laughing. And I was like, oh no, this is what I thought was good at the time.
Yeah, does that ever happen too? So for those of you that haven't, you should double check those, because man, you ever see a difference? I haven't gone through my old stuff in forever, but I'd love to do that again.
You should. It's so funny. You just laugh at it. Anyways, I have to go because I need to eat food.
Yeah, I've not eaten that either. So
bye, Cheyenne.
You guys have a good day. Good luck with the rest of your stuff.
Thank you. Bye-bye.